Okay, guys, so we do actually have a pretty big update in the Courtney Clenney case. The video you're seeing on the screen is old. It says 5:09 p.m. in the timestamp. I remember this specific video from one of the earlier hearings, but this article is new from Christian Cologne here seen on screen, and we're finding out that Judge Laura Cruz has concluded that Miami-Dade prosecutors did in fact violate attorney-client privilege by accessing those conversations between the Clenney family and their attorneys. The communication sought to be excluded by the parties is protected by the attorney-client privilege and or work product privilege, Cruz said. This privilege was violated, albeit perhaps unknowingly, when the communication was read by prosecutors in the case. And again, this is stemming back to from earlier this year when prosecutors charged Clenney's parents, Kim and Deborah, for allegedly breaking into Christian Obumseli's laptop. They got stuck with an unauthorized access charge. After that, the state attorneys had gained access to Kim Clenney, Dad, his iCloud account, where they found this group chat messaging. And in that, they saw the defense attorneys seemingly working with the parents to try to gain access to figure out the password to Christian Obumseli's laptop. So if we keep reading, it says, quote, "The defendants utilized their attorneys to commit the digital burglary of Christian's computer, which is a crime," prosecutors claimed. Defense attorneys for the parents said that the computer was a shared device between Clenney and Obumseli and that the parents were authorized to access it. They also remind us that the defense attorneys were not charged for breaking into the laptop, but we did get to see Frank Prieto on the stand at the last televised hearing. So that was fun. Quote, "Today, Judge Cruz granted our motion to exclude evidence. What that means, the state attorney's office breached the attorney-client privilege, and that was unlawful," said Jude Facadomo, a defense attorney representing the Clenney parents. So after a long battle, defense attorneys won on Wednesday after Cruz ruled the messages will be excluded. The proper remedy for this breach of privilege is exclusion of the communication from use in this case as evidence. Defense attorneys told NBC6 that this ruling means the state attorneys might have no choice but to drop all charges related to allegedly breaking into the laptop. But the exclusion of the messages does not necessarily impact the homicide case, according to defense attorneys. Because of Wednesday's ruling, defense attorneys are asking for the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office to recuse themselves from the Clenney case, and have asked Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to assign a new prosecuting office. This new ruling comes as the state attorney's office faces multiple complaints from defense attorneys on their misconduct. Earlier this year, Judge Andrew Ricker Wolfson removed 2 prosecutors, including Van Zandt, from a death penalty case citing misconduct. And for now, Clenney remains behind bars while she awaits not just trial, but a trial date in the killing of Obumseli. So, pretty big update there, you guys. The judge agrees that attorney-client privilege was violated. There was no exception there. That's not good. So, thank you all who tuned in looking for the hearing earlier. There was no stream of it, but we do get this update. It was a pretty big decision. It's possible that they weren't allowing outside streaming because they were discussing evidence, that is now going to be protected, not admissible, whatever the case may be. And as of the time of this recording, this is the only update I see, so shout out to Christian Cologne. The docket hasn't been updated yet, but when it is, I can go and pin a comment under this video with whatever the next motion, hearing, anything like that, whatever the next update's gonna be scheduled for. But this is extremely interesting, and I appreciate that every time we do have a live stream, a live chat, we've all been able to discuss openly, no matter what side we sit on, this idea that if the prosecutor's doing something they shouldn't be doing, shouldn't just be swept under the rug. So I'm not surprised that the judge found this way. I didn't think it was like 100% she was going to find this way. Probably about 50-50. But I appreciate that she took her time to allow both sides to make their arguments, look at everything. But guys, I think this is a pretty big update. But what do you guys think? I'm going to turn the floor over to you. Do you think that this is surprising? Do you think that we're going to see the charges, at least relating to the laptop, continue to move forward? That action, that criminal action? Do you think we're going to see that move forward? Do you think they'll say, well, what now? Gotta drop it. Also, maybe a good question to think about is, what do you think about this trial date? Maybe still getting pushed further and further down the road. Do you think that's good for Courtney? Do you think that's bad for Courtney? I think it kind of doesn't really make a difference. A lot of brain food there. So, but there you go. Let's wrap it up with that update there. Not a small one by any means. You guys all take care. Have a good one.